Michael Jordan's 90s Bulls teams and the Golden State Warriors probably have a few things in common I'm starting to notice. First and foremost, it goes without saying, they're two, if not the top two NBA dynasties in NBA history. And if you disagree, please go check into your nearest site ward because you might actually be insane. Years of excellence, check. Key piece on the team want to get paid, check. Dude getting decked in the face, check. And the star player carrying the edge and roster, check. All good things eventually come to an end, and similar to the Bulls of the 90s, this great Warrior dynasty won't last forever. Now I'm starting to get this feeling that this season ultimately could end up being their last dance. Before we get back to the video, man, just real quick, be sure to drop a thumbs up on this video if you're feeling it. Hit that subscribe button to help the channel out a ton, and even turn on post notifications to know when we drop videos over here on Self Check. Let's get back to the video. Stephen Curry won his first NBA championship at the age of 26. Before we even get to this season's playoffs, he'll be 35. It's been a hell of a run, and at the same time, he's still going without a slight glimpse of even looking like he's slowing down. Somehow, even at this stage of his career, Steph has found a way to play even better than he has years prior. Currently playing some of the best basketball of his career, averaging 32, 7, and 7, which is more points per game than his scoring title year a few years back in 2021, and awfully similar numbers to his 2016 unanimous MVP year. While it's looking like Steph is gonna keep balling until the wheels fall off, it's starting to look like some of the other players on the Warriors can't keep up. You guys remember back in the day when Steph didn't even have to play fourth quarters because the Warriors had already ran off with the game? Well, them days is long gone. During this historic run of theirs, this has been the most minutes per game Steph has averaged, and it's not really accumulating to wins, which is alarming. As of the recording of this video, the Warriors just picked up their first win on the road in Houston, and it took Klay having one of those performances where he kind of just blacks out from three and absolutely goes ballistic. And even with that happening, the game was still relatively close, and it took Steph hitting this 2K type fadeaway three to kind of seal the deal and kind of just put the dagger in the Rockets' heart. And now currently the Warriors are 1-9 on the road. Prior to that game in Houston, they didn't even pick up not one win, and they had already made their trips to Detroit, Orlando, and Charlotte. Keep in mind, them the three worst teams in the East, and they still couldn't pick up a win. All I'm saying is, while Curry continues to cook in the kitchen, the Golden State Warriors might want to clean up their act. Because as we all know, not every franchise is fortunate enough to have an all-time legendary Hall of Fame top 10 type of player like Stephen Curry. And while guys like that are playing at the pinnacle of their powers and clearly are still in their primes, it's best to maximize their chance of winning and not waste their greatness. Before the performance he just put on down there in Houston, Klay didn't look anything like himself. We'll have to see how he follows up this performance, but prior to that, Klay Thompson didn't look anything like the same guy from years prior. I'm not the type to use the injuries as an excuse, because when he came off the injuries last season, it was plenty of times on multiple occasions where Klay was putting up 30 offset injuries. And trust me, I watched some of those performances, and he looked like he was just shooting the ball just fine. Now, he might not cut to the basket the same. Maybe those injuries might have affected a little bit of athleticism that he had in his game, but when it comes to just shooting the ball, he's just been bricking. So I don't really want to use, you know what I'm saying, the injuries as an excuse. Ever since his back and forth with Book, Klay has been hell-bent on proving that he's still that guy. I mean, taking ill-advised shots when a guy might just be one pass away from an open look, or wanting to be the guy who hits the shot to force the opposing coach to call a timeout and cap off a run, it just comes off as if Klay is seeking that validation and he's still Steph right-hand man. Klay is averaging his second lowest average for points per game in his career, and his shooting splits from the field and from deep are by far the worst of his career. And there's some chatter going around that the team should look to start Jordan Poole. Losing his starting spot to his Splash Bros apprentice would probably be a big hit to Klay's ego. But there are numbers out there that back up Poole fits better with the starting unit than he does leading that bench unit. Not to mention, the Golden State Warriors gave Jordan Poole a pretty big payday over the summer, showing that they committed to Kid Splash long term. If Klay Thompson doesn't find a way to kind of stay hot off this Houston performance and ride that wave, or just in general find his stride as the season goes on, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson had that conversation to where it might be some changes coming to that starting lineup. Draymond completely fumbled the bag this summer when he decided to put pause on Jordan Poole. Knowing you looking for this max contract where you're trying to get $33 million per year, you would think you would be on your best behavior, but obviously Draymond wasn't thinking nothing about that, because obviously things happen and now it's looking like he about to be assed out. Now, do I think Draymond Green is worth $33 million per year? No. At the same time, you can say look at the other contracts around the league. You would think Draymond would be able to get that. Now, do I think Draymond is a big part of this team? Absolutely. Draymond is arguably the glue of this team that holds this team together. He's their best defender. Even though JaMychal Green has a higher defensive rating, Draymond plays more minutes and he's more impactful on the court. He's basically that team's point guard, if we being real. If you take away arguably your best defender, your offensive initiator, obviously that team not gonna be the same. But with the way the Warriors books is looking this summer, I don't know where this $33 million is supposed to come from that Draymond is looking for. And it's looking like this might be Draymond Green last season with the Warriors, if we being honest. Over the past few years, Draymond Green has been dubbed Mr. Triple Single.
I'm a triple single.
If we being real and we put the jokes to the side and we being for real, Draymond Green does bring things that don't really show up in the stat sheet. There's no stat for competitiveness, fire, drive, all these things that he brings to the table, all these intangibles. And I just find it weird that you could try to continue this dynasty without somebody who's been there from the start. In my opinion, if you take Draymond Green away from this Warriors team, it'll never be the same. Now, last season, there was an idea that the mix of young raw talent combined with the Golden State Warriors core players will be a problem. Right now, it's looking like that's starting to backfire a little bit. James Wiseman just got sent down to the G League. Booty and Kuminga are looking like they still need a lot of time to develop, which is understandable. Any lineup Steve Kerr rolls out there that isn't the starters just doesn't get the job done. I'd argue that the youth experiment be scrapped. Now, no one is saying that those guys don't have talent. The window is probably going to take for those guys to kind of hit their potential, and the window that you have left with Steph Curry being a great player, they just don't align, and they just on two totally different wavelengths. If you look, in years prior, the Golden State Warriors Big Three have been surrounded by high IQ vets like Sean Livingston and Barbosa, etc. If the struggles linger and the Warriors can't find any answers, I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors package up these young guns and see what they can get back in return. What was once one of the Warriors' greatest strengths has now become one of their biggest weaknesses. Ever since the first KD championship back in 2017, the Warriors defense has been on a slight decline year by year. Now they kind of got it back on track, just proving last season that you need to be able to play defense if you plan on winning you a championship. Currently, the Warriors are a bottom 10 team defensively. Some of that could be personnel, some of that could be the guys who used to anchor that defense like Klay, Iguodala, Draymond are a little bit older. The Warriors now just simply don't have as many reliable guys to protect the perimeter as they used to. Klay has the worst defensive rating out of all the guys on the team who play heavy minutes. In 2022, the way the game is played, we all know you gotta be able to get a bucket. But at the end of the day, if you want to be the ones holding up that big golden trophy at the end of the season, you gotta find a way to defend as well. And say it with me if you heard this one before, defense wins championships. Nothing lasts forever, people. Enjoy it while it's here, because things like this don't come around often. This could be it for this current iteration of the Warriors. Iguodala is already on record saying this is it for him. Draymond wants to get paid. Kerr is already out there saying that he know the end is near. Whether the Warriors find some way to turn this thing around or not, all good things eventually come to an end. And for all we know, this, similar to the 90s Bulls, could be the Golden State Warriors' last dance.